Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show. I am Philip Jordan, the in-studio host and producer of Dothan Wolves football on 96.9 The Legend. Each week, Jerry Coleman and Ken Lambert sit down with Dothan Wolves head coach Jed Kennedy to review the previous game and preview the upcoming opponent. Tonight, Coach Kennedy will review the Wolves' loss to Opelika and preview tomorrow night's road region game against the JAG Jaguars out of Montgomery. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, Coach Kennedy will be joined by Jerry Coleman and Ken Lambert right here on 96.9 The Legend. Previously on the Philip Jordan podcast. Meanwhile, obviously, I talked about the biggest surprise. Has there been a team out there that's kind of been like a big disappointment for you?
Yeah, well, Florida State's the easiest answer. They're in a class by themselves, coming off the season opening loss, and it just hasn't gotten better. And, shocking for them to go out double and lose, banking on their own quarterback, some problems with the defense, and just the bag keeps getting worse for them. So I don't think it means the end of Mike Norvell's job, but this is something you might see a little more often in college football, this idea that you can have this really good season followed by a really bad season. I mean, that's what's happened maybe over a longer span, maybe a 2-year arc with TCU. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing it with Michigan. Michigan lost a ton of talent to the NFL and won the national title, and they're not very good right now.
You can check out the Philip Jordan podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Also available over at Wiregrass Daily News and also the Philip Jordan Sports YouTube channel.
Welcome to the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show here on 96.9 The Legend. Coach, last Friday night, Opelika came in, top-ranked team. We knew they were good, knew they were strong. I thought they had a chance, but when I walked out on the field and saw them warm up, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like one of the biggest teams the Wolves have faced this year.
Oh, by far. Just you take their defensive line. I mean, the Autry kid's going to Auburn. They had him listed at 6'5", 330. The other defensive end, 6'3", 260. Their two smaller kids were like 260. It was. I thought it was the best defense we've won against all year. Man, they were good. Really, really good.
Coach, taking out, Sam, I know, tried to play. You could tell it wasn't on his A game, wasn't 100%. Kind of took the passing game away. I think from Friday night. Kind of your observation of just kind of what Ken and I saw from the booth on Friday night.
Yeah, I think really a couple things. Like I told the kids afterwards, we played pretty good football for about 3 quarters. And it wasn't necessarily this quarter was bad. It was just some spot moments. I mean, our deep offensively, we held them to. I mean, they had 110 yards passing. They had I think 140 yards rushing, and 60 came on one play. It's been an Achilles heel. We can't get off the field on third down. I mean, they converted a 3rd and 30, a 3rd and 15, and a 3rd and 14. And those things, when that happens, it's just chance to keep drives going. And it's unfortunate that we're not very healthy right now. We started 6 sophomores on Friday night. It is like it is what it is. And like I told the kids, the reality is this: we're not playing well enough right now to win some of these games. We're just making some crucial mistakes, and we went. Got a great, got a great 3 and out again. Forced them to punt. Got a couple first downs. Got sacked on a bootleg pass. Punted. They fumbled. Went up 7-0. Forced them to go out 3-0 again. We ran a double move. Had Jaden Barnes, I think, probably had 35 yards on the nearest defender. If you look at the play, the feet kind of got tangled up with him and the safety when we ran the route. The ball was just overthrown, and we complete that. We're up 14-0, probably a whole different game. But the reality, we're just not making those plays, and we got to do a better job, on our end as coaches. And again, what I've been proud of with our kids is this has been a tough 4-week stretch. I mean, it's we have never shied away from it. It is what it is. It's the way the schedule drew out. But we've had great practices. Our coaches have had great weeks. Our kids have continued to battle, and we've got really 2 weeks coming up, including tomorrow night, where we should be favored in those games, and we've got to get this thing back on track and work to get our record back to 500. And I was telling some of their day, we're still a good football team. I mean, I don't think people are excited to play us. It's just when it came down to it this year, we didn't make enough plays in the last 4 weeks to put ourselves in position to win those games. And ultimately that falls on me. And, like I said, it is what it is. We just got to continue. I'm a believer. You get up every day and you continue to work. And that's what we've done. And that's what our kids have done. And we've had a great week of practice. And it's not easy to as a 15, 16-year-old kid, when you had high expectations going in, to be sitting here at 2-4, with 4 tough losses to ranked opponents. But again, it is what it is. And I've said that a few times already today, but, we've continued to battle and continue to work, and, excited to get back out and, get back in that winning column, hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, Coach, that is certainly a physical football game. That's what we had talked about last week on the coaches show. And I began to get worried for Jaden and AJ there late. It wasn't so much a hard hit. There were a few of those, but man, those big D linemen, as they were 2 and 3 tackling, just their body weight landing on those guys, and they're certainly not as big. But you had some success running the ball. AJ goes over 100 yards again. I think Jaden I had him around 40, but he had a big loss there as he tried one pass play. I think he lost 14 yards on that pass play, and that went against his numbers. But you had success running the ball early. And I know I didn't know if maybe they made some changes or just kind of walked some people up to kind of change what you were doing.
No, really. They played us a little different this year than they have in the past. It's just they were. I think the difference, if you look at this year versus last year, that D line was the same D line they had last year. They started 10 seniors on defense, and they started, I think, 8 on offense. So, I think started 17 or 18 seniors. They got a move-in linebacker who is one of their best players. Kid came from Auburn High School where he started, and they were really big. They had really big linebackers. I bet. The one kid had to have been 6 foot 220. The kid, number 44, the kid from Auburn, he's probably 6'2", 210. I mean, those are big kids. So when you add a big D line and big downhill running linebackers, present some problems. And we started 2 sophomores on the old line just because of some injuries we have up front. We started a Don Warren at center and Colin Truitt at inside tackle. We only played 2 seniors on offense Friday night, and we're able to move the ball. AJ went over. I mean, AJ's had over 100 yards the last 4 weeks against great people. He's just under 800 yards in the season. He's one of the top backs in the 7A, as far as rushing. And, man, he's tough. And, we're going to continue to feed him. And, now with Sam getting healthy, we've got to, we were 8 for 13 throwing the football Friday night, over, 60%. And, it's just they made it a tough goal for us. But like I said, if you take away the reverse they had, if you take away the long pass play they had, our defense really did a good job. Man, they got them off the field. It was just, again, we've got to continue to be better on third downs. We're just not very good right now on that down, on getting off the field on defense.
Yeah, I thought that as well. On defensively, I thought about the quarterback. You really contained him. Now, the 3rd and 30, that who knew he was that fast when he broke out and converted that one, and that was kind of a backbreaker there late. But you really kept him in the pocket. And Jerry, I guess it was Hewley, I believe, that was like, I think I said it's like trying to tackle a wrecking ball. There's nowhere to grab him. You can't tackle him high. You can't tackle him low. It was just hang on and hope help comes for him. He was tough.
Yeah, he's really good. He's he's a different back than we've seen. We've seen a lot of I don't want to use the word small, but athletic, quick, shifty backs, and he's a big bruiser. I mean, he's an old school Big Ten running back type kid. The Mark Ingram type player, and he was good. I mean, he was really, really good, and I thought they did a good job of hitting just a couple plays when they needed to. It's just. What's frustrating about football, what's unique about it is, like Friday night with special teams, there was 140 plays. And ultimately that game boiled down to about 3 or 4 plays. And we just didn't make them. And hats off to Opelika. Coach Moore's done a great job up there of kind of, rallying the troops. They've had a couple heartbreak seasons. And, and we talked about it before. When you have mid-40s seniors, I mean, you got a chance to be successful. And they have mid 40s and they start 19 of them, and they've got some really good players, and that's a great recipe. And obviously he's built a great coaching staff, and Opelika is going to support their football program. And like I said, they're going to beat some really good people the next few weeks. I can promise you that.
And Coach, talking about plays, how many plays snaps did Dothan get Friday night, or do you remember?
I think we were low 50s. I think we had like 50.
Okay.
Yeah, we were low 50s. We both were, actually. That's where both of us were. We're 50, 53, and I think they had 51, right around there. And Coach,
you may have mentioned earlier about, seasons. You had four tough home games that didn't turn out like you wanted to do, and you got that senior class, and you got a large junior class. How do you keep them motivated, knowing that, okay, we knew coming in that first game 3 to where we at now was going to be a bruiser, and maybe not turned out like we wanted to kind of finish the season strong? How's that conversation look as a coach to 16 and 18-year-olds?
Well, what I think number one is you have to be honest with kids, right? And so I told the kids after the game, I said, guys, number one, the plan was never to be in this situation, but we are. And I said, I love you as much right now as I did 4 weeks ago, as we did 2 years ago. And I said, all I know is this: I'm going to coach the next 4 weeks like we're coaching for a state title. And I said, that's the commitment we need back from you. I said, so if we only have 4 weeks left, I said, let's enjoy the heck out of them, and let's make it our goal to win all 4 games. And I think that if you looked on paper, I would assume we'd probably be favored in 3 out of the 4. And so a chance to hopefully just take this thing 1 week at a time and find a way to scratch ourselves back to a 500 record and see what happens against Auburn, and then play obviously a good Tallahassee Godby team. So it's that's where I've been impressed with our kids, because it's not easy. I mean, it's their 16, 17-year-old kids, and again, I had a coach call me today from one of the other regions. We were just talking about. He said, "Coach, I watched all your games." He said, you very easily could have won, 3
of the 4,
3 out of 4, 4 out of 4, at a minimum, 2 out of. But we haven't. I mean, and it's one of those things. There aren't if ands. We haven't made enough plays in crucial situations when we need to, and that's the reality of it. And that ultimately falls back on me. And I think that's why we sit back and we analyze, and probably overanalyze why we're, it's just crazy. We were so good last year on third downs, on offense and defense. I mean, just to put things in perspective, last year our defense got off the field 78% of the time on third downs.
Wow.
And that means that for offenses, their drives are done. Well, teams this year are converting 50% of the time on third downs against us. Well, every time they do that, the drive continues. Last year we created, I think, 24 turnovers in 11 games. This year through 6 games, we have 3. Well, when you create turnovers, that's more opportunities to have the ball. What's crazy is statistically, every other category, we're rushing for about the same amount of yards. We're giving up about the same amount of yards rushing. We're giving up about the same amount of yards passing. We're throwing for the same amount. The problem is this: we're not as good on third downs on offense or defense, and we're turning the ball over more than we have the last couple of years on offense, and we're not creating those turnovers on defense. And you add those together, and again, ultimately it falls on me. And again, I can promise you we're going to spend this offseason evaluating and digesting and diving into that and figure out, is there something we've done different? I can promise you this much: we'll get it fixed for next year. We will not be talking about those 2 things at the same time next season.
Ken?
No, I agree with that. That's interesting, because we've said before, you go back and review those games, and it comes down to just a handful of plays, and cumulatively for all of them, it's 1 or 2 here or there. And so, sometimes, as the saying goes, the ball bounces your way, and sometimes it doesn't. And we just, we haven't created those this year, but that's not to say that it's going to not going to change tomorrow night. So you have that confidence, and we certainly have confidence in you and those young men that are on the field for sure.
Well, Coach, we're going to take a break, and on the other side, we'll talk about tomorrow night's game, where for the first time in a while, Dothan will be on the road going to Montgomery to Crampton Bowl, a place that we're familiar with and a team that a little bit familiar with. You've been listening to the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show here on 96.9 The Legend.
96.9 The Legend is your connection to classic country legends. But Digio Strategies has other options too. News Talk 103.9 is your source for America's top news and entertainment shows, like Rick and Bubba in the morning, Glenn Beck from 9 till 11 a.m., and Clay Travis and Buck Sexton middays from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Sean Hannity, Lars Larson, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and others fill your day with the latest news and views from America's top conservative voices. America at Night and Coast to Coast AM keep you company and connected throughout the night. Plus, Fox News, the Alabama Radio Network, and Wiregrass Daily News keep you informed with national, international, state, and local news. And with more musical choices like All the Hits, 106.7 KMX, Today's Country 95.5 WTVY, and Music 107.7, Digio Strategies gives you more choices and more variety. Listen on air, online, and on our apps. 96.9 The Legend is just the beginning.
Welcome back to the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show, where this segment we talk to Coach Kennedy about tomorrow night's game as the team travels to Montgomery to take on the JAG Jaguars there at Crampton Bow. And Coach, you've seen a little bit of film that they're not having a good year, but still another 7A Region 2 matchup.
Yeah, they with that being said, they've won their last two games. They beat Center Point and then they beat Smith Station, and so I think the thing you always have to worry about, it doesn't matter who you beat. Winning obviously creates confidence, right? So they haven't, we haven't won in 4 weeks. They haven't lost in 2.5 weeks. So so that obviously is a little bit of a concern. I mean, obviously we're a better football team than them. We're more physical than them. They've got a new coaching staff, so a little bit don't know what we're going to see really defensively. Offensively, they, at the beginning of the year, they really tried to spread it out. Seems the last couple of weeks they've lined up a little bit more wildcat type stuff and bring things in, and they've certainly got some good athletes. And like I said, I'd be disappointed if we don't go up there and get the victory. But it's just been a unique schedule. We played 2 games on, we played one game at home, played 1 game on the road, and we've been home for 4 weeks. We have not been on the road since August, and we're in October. Maybe a little change of pace will be good for us. We're going to do something a little bit unique this week. We're actually only going to take 53 players. We're going to take a travel squad. It's fall break. We had a JV game on Monday. Our JV team is 3-2, and they had a hard-fought game Monday. So we kind of built a travel roster, and the people that aren't involved in travel, we gave them fall break to, kind of do some things. I think sometimes we forget that they're 15, 16-year-olds. So it'll be a small group on the sidelines, just basically taking our 2 deep up there. But like I said, sometimes a change of scenery and doing things a little bit differently can be a little bit of the kickstart that you need.
Coach, I thought the same thing. It's, it's always nice to be home, but sometimes you just need to look at a different locker room in a different place. And it's always, we've always enjoyed going to Crampton Bowl, I think so. But you mentioned JAG, and they have won the last 2 weeks. They seem they've had trouble scoring, but obviously they've played Opelika, they played Hewitt-Trussville, they've played Auburn. So, you're going to have a tough time scoring against those teams. But as you look at in terms of just units and matching up, where do you see your strengths in terms of matchups?
I think number one, they haven't seen really an offense like ours. I always think that's obviously an advantage. They're very aggressive on defense. With that being said, when people are aggressive, typically things like counters, any type of misdirection play can typically get those people out of position. And, and this is, we're going to try to throw the football, we've got to, it's just been that was the plan coming in. If you look early in the year, we were throwing it, 14, 15 times a game. Sam's been battling this dang leg injury all year. 2 weeks ago, he didn't even play. Last week, he played sparingly. So our goal is to go out and throw the ball a little bit, and I think you have to, and I think that excited about that. So I think it's hard to say how you match up against them. I think they're big up front. With that being said, I think they play a little bit high, and for me, it's always going to come down. If we block well and we tackle well, I think we can be successful most weeks.
Coach, with this week being kind of a fall break, you said it was a JV game Monday night. Of course, no school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even today. What was the kind of practice schedule like here for fall break?
So what we did was we brought them in the morning on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we were at school. So it was just the kids that were on the travel roster. So they came in from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So we got the same amount of time we would get in during the school, but it gives those kids a chance to work after school, or I should say in the afternoon every day if they need to. Gives them the chance to do what they got to do if they're heading, with a friend or something. And then we'll come back early afternoon on Thursday, so that way we can keep our church meal on Thursday. And then Friday, we're going to head out about 3 o'clock. We're actually, again, I'm all about changing it up. Typically on a road game, we would leave around 1 o'clock, drive, eat about 3 o'clock. We're going to push things back as late as possible. We're going to eat about 2:45 at the high school, get on the bus about 3:15, get up there about 5:15, and get dressed and play. And again, I just think sometimes, like I said, you got to change things up a little bit, and sometimes that change gives you the spark that you need. So if it doesn't, I guess we'll blame Coach K.
Well, Coach, that'll wrap us up. Good luck tomorrow. Good traveling. I understand that one of our local schools kind of gotten a wreck coming back last Friday night from Montgomery, playing another school and another division, another classification, but they seem to be okay. But if you can't make the trip to Crampton Bowl tomorrow night, Ken and I will go pregame at 6:45. Kickoff at 7 o'clock here on 96.9 The Legend. You've been listening to the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show here on 96.9 The Legend.